So your bell work was on Canvas today, so make sure you get that one done. It is a separate YouTube video. You don't really have to watch the whole thing as long as you get the gist of it. Today we're focusing on the declining significance of animism in complex urban societies. So sometimes these titles are a mouthful and I feel like you just breeze over them, don't even listen to them, but it is important to understand like what are we getting into, so as we go through it, you know kind of what we're doing. So we are, again, still looking at religion in these early ancient civilizations. And like I've been saying, we're looking mostly right now at the transition from that more spiritual belief, where it was like an individual belief, but that was nature-based, and how they transitioned into a more organized and complex religion that was practiced as a community. So today we're going to kind of focus on the declining significance of animism, right? So animism, again, is that nature-based where things have spirits, like, for instance, this cloud with lightning, like storms. So if it's declining significance, it means like it's not as important anymore, okay? So that's what we're looking at today. The sources we're reviewing allow us to explore how religious prayer and ideas were transformed to focus on human affairs, or on how nature can be controlled for human needs. So now it's not so much based on nature and respecting those gods and spirits, but based on how can we navigate this life in a way that benefits humans and human affairs. This does go right along with our unit prompt. Again, remember, our unit prompt is a little bit different this time because it's not arguing, you're not going to argue if you support it or challenge it, but to what extent. So how much did the aims and influence of religion change over the course of the ancient period? All right, so our first source today is source 3, adapted from Hymn to the Nile. It was written around 2100 BCE, so a little over 4,000 years ago. It says, "Hail to thee, O Nile." So every time you hear the word thee, it's talking about the Nile River. "Bringer of food, great Lord of provisions, creator of all good things." He, and at the bottom it says, the Nile is addressed as a male deity in this hymn and other writings of the time. "He fills the granaries and enriches the storehouses. He cares for the state of the poor. There is no building that can contain him. And when the waters overflow, then comes rejoicing. Every heart celebrates, overcoming mortals with joy. His might produces all. What was nothing, his moisture brings to life. The hymn is addressed to thee with the harp. Offerings are made to thee, oxen are slain to thee, great festivals are kept for thee, birds are sacrificed to thee, beasts of the field are caught for thee. Mortals celebrate him, and so do all of the gods. Shine forth, O Nile, shine forth, giving life to men by his oxen, giving life to his oxen by the pastures. Shine forth in glory, O Nile." So, according to source 3, which if you need it is on your worksheet, why is the Nile River worth celebrating? So he gives you a lot of reasons, the author, so give me a couple. And then what elements of the text, or source 3, suggests that the author feels that the Nile is, I'll pause it. All right, sorry, that was an announcement. So number 2 says, what elements, so like what parts of the text suggest that the author feels that the Nile is more than just a river, right? And just so you know, the background of this slide is the Nile. All right, so the other source we're looking at today is source 4, adapted from Zend Avesta. And it was published around 1500 BCE, so we think maybe like 600 years after the one we just read, after the hymn. It says, "If a man come upon a man attempting to strike him, he shall receive 20 lashes for the first offense. If a man actually strikes a man with evil plans, 100 lashes. If a man actually strikes a man and blood comes, also 100 lashes. If a man actually strikes a man and breaks a bone, 140 lashes. And if a man strikes a man and that man dies, 180 lashes." It goes on to say, "Let him who wants to have knowledge be taught the holy word. He shall learn at the start of the day and at the end of the day, that his mind may be increased in knowledge and become strong in holiness. So shall he sit up to give thanks, praying to the gods, that he may be increased in knowledge. He shall continue until he can say all the words which former priests have said." So looking at source 4, and again I provide it for you on your worksheet, how does source 4 compare to examples of law codes that we previously examined? So in our last unit, sources 8 and 9 were both law codes. Remember, it talked about if a man cuts down another tree, what happens, or another man's tree. So how is this different? How does it compare, and how is it similar? Number 4 says, what does the Zendavesta excerpt contain in addition to laws and punishment? So yes, it says like if a man does this and it gives him a punishment, but then it goes on to say something else. What is it saying? Do your best to actually read it and make an analysis. Now I want you to describe, how does each source describe a deity? Which way does each source say that humans can benefit from a deity? Which of these sources seems more similar to examples of animism, and why? So you can't just say, oh, source 3. You got to say either source 3 or source 4 and why. Also, it might be helpful for me to let you know if you aren't entirely sure what a deity is, it's a god or goddess. Also can be like a divine status or quality. So we're talking like, how does each source describe the deity or the god or goddess or spirit, etc. Lastly, I want you to apply this knowledge and see if you can kind of work with it on a higher level. So I want you to write a short poem, or it can be like lyrics to a song, 5 to 10 lines, from the perspective of a person who practiced the more spiritual or animism belief, right? So similar to the hymn we read, you're writing your own, so show me that you understand what they valued and what they would have been worshiping. For number 9, I want you to write a law you might find in a civilization that has transitioned to the organized religion, so like source 4. Remember, this one should be less focused on nature and more focused on the man, right? So we were talking in the beginning of this lesson about how they shifted to this idea of like, how can we worship in a way that we can make these spirits benefit humans? How can we use this to human advantage? The last thing I want you to do is think, according to these sources, how did the aims and influence of religion change? So this is going with your claim, right? So 5 sentences, use evidence from your sources. So how did you see a shift or a transition? When you're done, you will upload your notes to Canvas, and that's it. Bye-bye.